Doctor Who Space Babies review. A good start, I think. I've seen people absolutely slate this episode for no characterisation and a stupid story, and while I disagree, I can see where they're coming from. Whilst I very much enjoyed myself and am enjoying the direction of the series of Doctor Who, it feels like the script could have done with one more revision. It feels far too fast paced with all but one beautiful moment not really being allowed to breathe. I feel like this might be a symptom of making series 14 and 15 back to back in such a short amount of time. I'm not calling it series 1, especially when it's so heavily linked to the revival. I'm pretty sure both series have already been shot and I can't help feel as if it's hurt the show in the long run. This episode was fine though, which is good for a regeneration story. Not everyone needs to be the 11th hour, it just needs to be solid. It got me excited after the mixed bag of 60th specials and I'd give it a 6 out of 10. And that was my Doctor Who The Devil's Cord review. I can't lie, I could have done without such a long twist at the end. Apart from that, I had a great time. It suffers from a lot of the same issues that Space Babies does with the pacing and structure, but less so, and that scene where Ruby plays the piano is gorgeous and is broken up at just the right time. Definitely my favourite stretch of the Russell T Davies 2 era. It's also nice to see the show embrace its wackier side a bit more. Maestro is a great villain and is played excellently by Jinx Monsoon. Their very campy performance feels perfectly Doctor Who and is also quite threatening. I also like the scene everyone's clowning on with the Doctor showing Ruby what happens if they don't stop Maestro. I don't find it a copy of Martha at all, probably because this scene is better, because we actually see what they cause and the companion breaks down in tears knowing that their safety is gone. Although, it was incredibly weird to have a 6-month jump for the characters. Overall, this was a good 7 out of 10 episode, and Tommy Robinson and his ilk can suck my fucking dick for inevitably getting mad at my boom review. This is a fantastic episode of Doctor Who. Stephen Moffat has a way of doing one-off episodes that I don't think anyone has ever been able to match. The Empty Child, Blink, Silence in the Library and The Doctor Falls are some of my favourite episodes of television ever. And whilst I don't think that this is quite at that level, it's still a fantastic bottle episode. The advantage of reviewing it after the whole season is out is that this episode now feels very important to the character of the 15th Doctor, and every actor knocks it out of the park, and I adored that the Doctor ended a war without violence. It truly felt like the Doctor. Plus, I really enjoyed this episode's critique of the military-industrial complex. 9 out of 10, fantastic episode. 73 Yards review. What on earth was going on here? This is an episode where the longer term effects are actually cut from the episode and still used in the finale for some reason. There are some clever moments, such as Ruby using the woman to her advantage to save the world, but overall I was just confused. It's not like we've got any answers for it yet, which is fine, but after the finale I don't trust that we will get any answers for it. I feel like this is the main problem with this series. It doesn't feel like it has one coherent vision, but back to the episode. It's an episode of Doctor Who that exists and aired at the stupid time of 12 AM on a Saturday to placate Disney. 5 out of 10. Dot and Bubble. While this was a needlessly controversial episode, a great look into how racism is utterly and completely detrimental to a society, this is the 3rd best episode of the series. Filmed on my old uni campus, this episode looks great, but you still feel the sinister undertones, which makes sense as it was filmed in Swansea. The ending has generated a lot of buzz and ties the episode together completely and in a very satisfyingly unsatisfying way. Racism really does make you stupid and ethno-states will always crumble and die due to their own stupidity. Some people just don't want to leave the bubble even if it kills them, and that was displayed perfectly here. 8 out of 10. Rogue review. This is a good episode that could have thrived with a longer runtime in a different season. Whilst I enjoyed it, it felt just a little bit rushed to the point where certain parts felt unnaturally fast. I think it was a bit weird that Rogue was both willing and able to save Ruby and that apparently the Doctor has no idea where he is, even though they would surely have to have an idea considering there were certain parameters that they agreed to before they sent the Childers there in the first place. But that's just a nitpick of an otherwise effective goodbye. This episode also felt a bit goofy, but instead of like a Doctor Who way, in a Sarah Jane's Adventures type of way, but I liked it. 6 out of 10. The Legend of Ruby Sunday. Even though it isn't an anagram, this is probably the best ending to a part 1 of a finale in Doctor Who since World Enough and Time's Cyberbill reveal. It's built up to perfectly with Harriet Arbinger, Ruby in the Time Window and Susan Triad talking about all of her dreams. Outside of that, again, the setup feels rushed and the opening truly comes out of nowhere. I'm actually fairly invested in who Ruby's mother is. and I feel like the time window is an intriguing way to introduce us to the cloud version of Sutekh. Otherwise though, I thought this episode was fine, if a tad boring in certain aspects, but solid 8 out of 10 episode. Empire of Death review. I have not hated a Doctor Who finale like this since the last one. It's actually insane how cheated this finale makes you feel for being invested in the mystery of Ruby's mother. I like the idea of her being just ordinary, but why was she wearing an Assassin's Creed hood? Why were we not able to see her face? Why was her identity not revealed in 73 yards? Why was Ruby able to make it snow? Why was the signpost not there in previous episodes? Why did the ambulance not flag her as the next of kin? The answer is, fuck you. This is content now, not a TV show mystery. Outside of that, the episode still sucks. Sutekh's destruction feels really, really impersonal, and the way they defeat him is ludicrous. Like, I actually feel personally insulted. It was that garbage. 3 out of 10. A terrible end. Good season though.